take an opportunity to welcome you both again. And thank you for joining us, right? This afternoon, of course, this panel will be speaking about the rise of remote work and opportunities in outsourcing executive client and legal support. Today with us, we have Stephanie Edwards, who is the administrative team lead at Teleperformance Jamaica. We have Jean-Marie Dillon Barrett, who is the Associate Director of Service Delivery at Concentrix. And joining us later today as a part of this panel, we will have Mario Ellington, who is the Director of Operations at Contacts 360 BPO Solutions. So good afternoon again and welcome everyone.
Good afternoon.
All right. So first of all, let us just start by doing a brief overview. So we know that Jamaica has demonstrated a track record in BPO with actually 4 of the top 10 global BPO companies having a presence locally, right? Based on this, we can see that we possess impressive credentials in this industry, which is underpinned by cutting-edge telecommunications infrastructure. We obviously have a talented English labor speaking pool, and of course, proximity to the Americas. So these are some of the things, obviously, as a part of our positioning strategy that has made us attractive to companies who want to outsource their business to Jamaica, right? And through that, we have cemented ourselves as the outsourcing hub of the Caribbean and the ideal nearshoring location for partners looking to access skilled professionals, right? And we know that the global services sector in Jamaica, it employs over 40,000 individuals across approximately 75 entities, right? And we know that 75 to 80% of those are operating in the BPO segment, and we have about roughly 20 to 25% operating in KPO and ITO segments, right? And of course, the projections based on this project that is being undertaken through the GSS and the JAMPRO and IDB is that we will continue to increase this amount to 40% in the KPO and ITO segments throughout the next coming years, right? So what we want to really focus on today is the legal process outsourcing, or LPO, as some of us may know it. And what the LPO basically involves is the transferring of work of attorneys, paralegals, and other legal professionals to external vendors that are located here locally and some overseas, right? And whilst it is a relatively new market, it is definitely booming and growing here in Jamaica, right? And we know that with all that has happened with COVID, the adoption of remote work has already been growing at a fast pace, right? With a lot of the restrictions, a lot of companies have had to transition their working model to a work from home type of infrastructure, right? And this is something, even though it was made more popular by COVID, this is something that is actually not new to Jamaica any at all. And so we're going to speak to some of our professionals here today to find out a little bit more about that. So I'm going to start first with you, Jean-Marie. Good afternoon again. Just introduce yourself to us. Tell us a little bit about your role at Concentrix, what you do, and your growth in the sector.
All right, so thank you so much, Sandra. Good afternoon, everyone, all our viewers out there. So my name is Jean-Marie, as Sandra mentioned. I'm the Associate Director here at Concentrix in Jamaica. Just a little bit about myself. I started out in the BPO industry 20 years ago. I started as an agent, actually, straight out of university. So this was my first job and is still my only job. When persons ask me, why the BPO, if I chose the BPO, and I said, well, the BPO chose me. I have had the opportunity over the last 20 years to serve in various capacities, and I use the word serve deliberately because I truly believe in servant leadership. I have been in quite a number of roles: quality and training, workforce management, operations, of course, back office as well as front office, and at a senior management level as well. In addition to that, I have served, of course, in various verticals. So for me, primarily healthcare and insurance, retail and travel, telecommunications. Currently, I function as a site leader here in Montego Bay for Concentrix. And with respect to responsibilities, my responsibilities, I always say it's a three-pronged approach. One, my main responsibility is to ensure that my staff is well taken care of. You know, there is the old saying that if your staff is taken care of, then they will take care of your customers as well. So one is staff. Two, to ensure, of course, that you manage that client relationship. So that is super, super critical, that you build that relationship with your client and of course, ensure that you are meeting their objectives. And then thirdly, of course, is to ensure that we remain a very profitable and vibrant business as well. So that's a little bit about me, Sandra, for now. Thank you.
That Jean-Marie, and I mean, obviously you spoke about, you know, having this long-term experience in the BPO industry. I like what you said about, you know, you not necessarily choosing the BPO, but, you know, you feeling that the BPO chose you. And I think one of the things that has resonated with me listening to some of the different presentations here today is that it speaks to having a certain mindset. And I think that that's important. You know, that's one of the things that have come out, you know, when we talk about growth and opportunities, and especially, you know, sometimes we'll have our young person saying, you know, there's no growth, there are no jobs. But I think a part of it too is you have to go into it with a particular type of mindset. And I think that's important. All right. So
absolutely.
You spoke about, you know, your 20 years experience, but I think we can all agree that, you know, within the last year, things have changed so much. And so, you know, we have found ourselves in essentially a dynamic position where we kind of had to shift to a new type of working model. So, you know, with the rise of remote work and these technological advances that we're seeing, you know, how has that contributed to roles that are available now within Concentrix?
So there are quite a number. Concentrix by far is, well, it is the second largest BPO. It's a big global brand. There have been quite a number of, you know, as you mentioned, new and emerging roles in the areas, of course, of artificial intelligence, automation, digital space as well, robotics. We have done as a company a lot, and I just want to add too in the area of security, because that's critical in the remote environment. At Concentrix, we have rolled out our own proprietary software that will help to secure or not only our clients' data, but also ensure that the person who is actually working from a biometric standpoint, credentials, is the person that is supposed to work. So we've invested in the technology that is needed to support this particular shift or the pivot to work at home.
And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I think a part of the allure as well to encourage persons to come into this sector is actually, you know, remote working. You know, once upon a time, it was something that maybe we dreamed of. And I think, you know, whilst there are, you know, challenges that we will have to navigate through, I think a lot of persons are looking at it through different lens, especially persons who act in a maybe caregiver capacity and have children at home or parents that they have to take care of. And they realize that this is really a viable opportunity where I can have some level of flexibility to work at home and still be present enough to be able to facilitate some of my domestic responsibilities. So we're going to come back to that. But before we come back to that, though, I want to also go over to Stephanie Edwards, who is the administrative team lead at Teleperformance. Good afternoon, Stephanie.
Pleasant afternoon to you.
All right. So thank you again for joining us. So I want to kind of throw it over to you again. You know, introduce yourself to us. Tell us a little bit about your journey at Teleperformance. What are some of the things that you do and how you have found yourself being able to navigate this remote working space?
Okay, well, I'm Stephanie Edwards. I have been in the field of administration and support for 15 years, but my BPO experience actually started in 2014, and that was my first assignment as a virtual admin support, very new, um, clueless somewhat, because what I have learned over the years is that administration outside of a BPO industry is totally separate. When I entered the BPO industry, I also knew nothing about the BPO industry because I'm from Clarendon and we really don't have call centers there. So it was new, but I was eager to learn and I was also determined. And one of the opportunity that I believe that I made use of was to actually to study the industry. I supported VP of the company at the time. And during that time, it gave me the opportunity to attend meetings, site meetings. So I was able to learn about stats, metrics, the whole works basically. So I made use of that. And now being at Teleperformance, I am no longer a virtual admin because my VP actually sits like two doors down. But we do have virtual admins here and they work at home currently. But during the last year, trust me, this COVID experience has really stretched admins a bit because you're not just confined or you're not defined. There is not a defined role, but COVID had allowed me to basically do a lot in logistics, moving people. The curfew has been crazy. Business were still open and we had to come up with ways and means of getting people at work, getting them home safe, not being harassed or anything by the officials on the road. So I believe that COVID had given me the opportunity or forced me basically to be innovative. And that's one of the key roles that you need in a BPO industry to support the leaders that we do have.
Okay, thank you for that, Stephanie. And I wanted us to do a little deeper dive into something that you said, because, a big part of this event today is to educate. We want to educate Jamaica. We want to educate our millennials that, the GSS industry, the BPO industry is more than just taking calls and contact centers. Because I think a lot of times when people hear BPO, their mind just automatically goes to taking calls, and that is where they stop. They don't want to hear anything. But you mentioned virtual admin, and that is something that it's very interesting to me, and I want to learn a little bit more about, and I'm sure some of our guests here today who are joining us and listening would want to hear more about that. So tell me a little bit about some of what the virtual assistants at Teleperformance do. What are some of the skill sets and some of the qualifications that persons would require to do this type of job?
Okay, so first of all, being a virtual assistant, your manager is not across the room or in the same building. So most definitely, depending on the support that they require of you, you would need to manage their calendars, set up meetings, be at meetings with them, also help with presentations that they may have. There are times when, depending on the type, it's a wide industry, but there are different businesses, different needs. So depending on the business needs, then the duties will vary. But what I used to do, I was in charge of his calendar basically his entire life. So if he misses a meeting or he's late for a meeting, then that is on me, not him, because I should be that strong support. So managing calendars for him, setting meetings, getting him from point A to point B. If it is that he has to travel across the world, then that is also my responsibility. It is also good that you understand the need of your VP, because this is not someone that you will see on a day-to-day basis. So you have to rely on technology, of course, video conferencing. So I would advise, if you're a virtual admin, take time out whether it be weekly, monthly, 2 weeks in a row, just to have that one-on-one conversation with your leader so that you can understand your leader and understand the needs that he or she may have. Because one of the thing is they have to be out there, whether marketing, getting sales, all of that, but you are the background person, you're their voice. So whatever they do, it's a reflection of you. So one of the most important thing too, as an individual, as a virtual admin assistant, you have to be organized. You have to have a system, whether it be notes with a notebook, whether it be using Outlook, but there must be a system in place because you have to track all the tasks that needs to be covered for a day. If it is that you're in an industry where other people rely on approvals from him, those are some of the things that will now be your responsibility. So approvals, daily meetings, daily travel, daily expenses. My manager, he did nothing for himself. So I had to be that one. I had to be that one, his voice out there. So if there is something that he's not acting upon, then I would be that first contact. So basically, you just have to be that strong support. And this is something that is not just out there, but it comes with a passion and a determination and a will to do.
Yeah, I was going to add, Sandra, that a lot of persons at times will have a very different perspective on an admin professional. They think it's a very easy job, especially when you're a virtual assistant for an executive. It is a lot of juggling and it takes great organizational skills. So as Sandra, mentioned, you have to be an organizational guru. It's a very demanding job, but it's something that can definitely be done if you have great time management skills, great organizational skills, great communication skills. You have to also be very proficient in Microsoft Office, and project management, of course, would definitely be an asset as well.
Okay, so you ladies definitely are throwing out nuggets today, and I want to jump and highlight some of the things that you mentioned just to ensure that our listeners are keeping track. So organizational skills are important, communication skills, time management skills, and as you said, someone who is computer savvy, because I know outside of the Microsoft Office suite, there must be other applications and platforms that they should be able to use, and they'll have to learn how to use very quickly as well. And one of the things that, again, this conversation with you ladies is underscoring is that there are higher value opportunities within the GSS, within the global services sector, right? And remember, one of the things that we spoke about very early in our conversation was opportunities in legal process outsourcing. So Jean-Marie, I'm going to jump back to you. And again, you ladies both have these years of experience between the both of you, at least 35 years of experience in. So speak to me a little bit, Jean-Marie, about persons who might be coming into the industry at the middle of their careers. So maybe persons who would have completed their tertiary education, they would have had a bachelor's degree, they would have had a master's. And so, starting at entry level might be a bit of a disadvantage for them. And so these persons are looking to, maybe start higher up on the chain. I know one of the panelists earlier spoke about the fact that there are persons with PhD who don't have any jobs, right? So for persons like these who might, be interested in a career in the GSS and want to start at that mid-level, speak to me a little bit about some of these higher level opportunities at Concentrix and what these entail.
Okay, so the beautiful thing about the industry is that there are different verticals. So as you mentioned, yes, there is the entry-level position, which is a typical call center setup, which I started at actually out of university and kind of worked my way up. But for persons who are interested in more middle management, yes, in some verticals, there are definitely offerings there. So for example, you mentioned paralegal. So we do have a space where persons can provide that level of expertise for legal entities abroad. They would outsource that aspect of their business to us. That is, as you mentioned, a growing a part of our industry in Jamaica. But things that we would be more familiar with would be, for example, web designers, persons who would leave university, whether it be Carimac or, at UTech or wherever else it is, that have that web designing skills. We definitely do have opportunities for that. You also have areas in HR. Persons who would have studied human resource, there are HR specialist roles as well, whether it is directly for the company that you would have been hired for, or for particular clients for which we would have had that project for, who require that extra level of HR expertise. So it's a very wide space. Let me see if I can name a few. There's accounting as well. We do have, especially in Jamaica, we do have a broad cross-section of our BPOs that actually provide that financial level assistance and support for clients. Persons who would leave with an accounting degree can easily transition at a mid-level and of course get the right pay for it in the accounting space as well. So the opportunities are limitless. You just have to put yourself in the position to be qualified, yes, for it, have an open mind, as you rightly say, and have just the right attitude to actually embrace it.
And I can add another position to that, and that is training, because here training is big for us, and there are teachers, teaching degrees, people with teaching degrees that, they're employed as trainers. So even though you're not in a classroom, school system classroom, it is still classified as a classroom, because you have to teach these new agents all this material to allow them to go on the floor and to advance in their career goal.
And I can add to that, we have at Concentrix that, we have designated persons to, that's another opportunity. You can be a content developer. You can be a curriculum developer, and that's all that you do, because you have that level of background and expertise to write curriculum for the client. So it's a wide, this is what I say to people all the time. There isn't anything that you can come up with that is not in the BPO space. Every single aspect of a particular business can be replicated from a BPO space. So it's not just call center work. There are many options out there.
Yes, I'm glad you touched on that. And you said something earlier that I don't want to lose the essence of. You use the word qualifications, right? And one of the things I see sometimes I'm on participate, but I snoop a lot because I read to try and get insights and see where the minds of our young people are. And a lot of times I will see negative feedback from, persons in agent positions saying, I've been an agent for 2 years and, it's killing me and I just want to grow and there's no growth. So I know a part of it, as we mentioned before, is mindset. And as we would have heard from the youth panel earlier, it's making yourself promotable, right? So tell me, I am a new agent, or maybe not so new, been on the job for a year in a position where I'm taking calls. So I'm working the customer service aspect of it. And I want to move to one of these higher value roles. So earlier we would have spoken about the persons who are made in their career and they can just jump in based on their qualifications and their experience. But I also want to ensure that we don't lose how to appeal to persons who are already working in the sector and are thinking, I want more for myself. I want to grow. I want to develop, and I want to target one of these roles in, as you said, web design, legal processing, HR. What do I need to do? Like, what do I need to study? What qualifications do I need to have? What tangible qualifications or papers need to walk with to say I want to transition into this role?
So, the beautiful thing about this industry as well, Sandra, is that we provide training to our staff. So straight off university or wherever, walking in, right? If you are an agent and you have desires to move up, right? like for example, at Concentrix, and I'm sure it's the same at Teleperformance and other companies out there, we do provide in-house development training for all our staff. We do have a knowledge system at Concentrix. It's called our Concentrix University, where it provides a wide range of development programs that are available. So if you have an interest in a particular area, a particular field within the BPO industry, you can get certified by that. In addition to that, there are persons who we will take in as an example, or who are hired to the program. They go through their different development academies. But as you referenced, the younger ones, the ones that are just starting up 6 months on the phones, we have something called an Aspire to Be program. And what that does is it takes you through the process of what it would be like being a team lead, as an example, or a quality analyst, as an example. And it prepares them through a series of workshops and actual role playing and actual job shadowing, so that they have that knowledge, so that when the opportunity comes up next, then they will be able to easily transition. They can apply, they have a full knowledge of what the expectations are, and they can easily transition into that. So Concentrix University for Concentrix is it's open to all our employees, and we encourage our employees to take advantage of the programs that are there.
Awesome. That definitely sounds like great stuff. So Stephanie, one of the things I kind of want to dive in with you, one of the thought that comes to mind is, is it that perhaps as an industry, we have not enough to educate persons some of these positions? Because again, if I step out on the road right now and I say the word BPO, we know what is going to come at us, right? Yes. So, what do you think as an industry, and maybe you can speak to your own company, Teleperformance, to have persons understand and educate persons about some of these opportunities in the legal processing industry, in HR, in the web design? What more do you think we can do to get the word out here to say, if you want to grow your career, this is a viable and lucrative space for you to do that?
Okay, well, I must first say that this platform today is a head start to getting the word out. Also, the ownership is on the employees that are currently employed within the industry, not just those that are at an agent level, but for those that hold other positions, the HR position, the admin positions, just to be out there, to be that company ambassador, to say, hey, yes, you can start at an entry level, but there's also opportunity for you with your degree, with your teaching degree, with your IT degree, whatever it is, there is an opportunity there for you to grow. For my company, Teleperformance, what we do, we really promote internal promotions. So you will come here as an agent and you can end up being a director. We have that example here today. So the opportunity for growth and promotion, it is here. We offer training. We have a jump program that as an agent, you go through this program. At the end of this program, whatever position in the operations department, whether it be a supervisor or an assistant manager, or even a call center manager, then at least you have gone through the system. You have done hours shadowing a manager or whatever position that it is that you need to be in. So you do have the hands-on experience also. So as people within the industry, I think we should be out there more, being the voice, being that testimony, basically, to say that, hey, it's not just being on the floor talking to clients and customers. It's way more than that. So don't just sit on your degree saying, oh, I can't go to a call center because of the stigma. But just look at it as a career path, somewhere where you can grow and develop and acquire skills and knowledge to advance to where you exactly want to reach in life.
Yes, I think those are key points. And I think one thing that stands out, and I like when I hear these success stories, is that when you look across most of the shared services and companies that we have in the GSS sector, most persons at the management level are actually homegrown. So it is almost, I mean, you every company that you go to and you see persons as operations manager or, you know, site directors, you can almost always hear a story to say, I started as an agent on the phone.
Absolutely. And I
Right?
always say to people, I can relate. I'm relatable. I've been there, done that. I was taking calls like everybody else, so I can relate to the staff, you know, at any level. But I just wanted to add, Sandra, that we definitely have come a far way in terms of the stigma as it relates to the BPO industry. You know, when I started and somebody said, you know, why don't you send a resume? At the time it was e-services, to be honest. And I was like, you know, where is that? The free zone. But what are we talking about? Where is that? Because in my mind, you know, back in the days, it was known as garment factory. And I took that leap of faith. I didn't know what I was going into, but I had a very open mind. And leaving university, you want to work, you want to earn your own money. You don't want to rely on mommy and daddy anymore. And you know, we definitely have come a far way in terms of the stigma, but I don't think we're there yet. Yeah. The more persons know about what we do, the varying offerings, the different verticals that exist, the different levels of, you know, in the organization that one can begin at, I think it's going to be better for us. So as Stephanie rightly said, we have started, I mean, this virtual fair, I'm very pleased that we were able to do this amidst COVID. But if we can do more of this, you know, post-COVID, we go into the schools and talk to persons on a more one-to-one about what some of the expectations are. If we can, you know, have persons come in. I know we used to have persons visit our site, you know, interested candidates, you know, persons from the universities or colleges or high schools visiting our sites, just so that they can see exactly what we do. I think that will help as well to let them know this is a very professional setting. Yeah. You know, we are very focused on ensuring that we do meet our objectives, and it's truly a career path. And we have living testimonies that can speak to that.
Yes, it is. And you know, you spoke about growth, and I remember a particular moment that resonated with me, and I must share it because anytime, you know, I hear any negative talk about BPO, I always say to persons, go to Halfway Tree on a Friday evening, any Friday evening, go to the Springs Plaza and go to that NCB ATM right there. You look at the line of young persons who are there going. You know, every time I say that, I am in awe because I'm saying at any given Friday at 4, you go to that machine, you see at least 20 to 30 persons. And I'm saying these are persons who are employed in a BPO because you see them with the lanyard around their neck. And I'm saying at 18 and 19, I wish I had those opportunities for independence where I could go to a machine, draw my own money, that I work, and my parents can't tell me nothing because it's my money, right? I'm not putting daddy for it, right? And I'm saying, and even sometimes when I walk on the road and I see them leaving work, and I'm saying these are persons who are earning an honest living, taking care of their parents, taking care of their kids. And I wonder, you know, if we didn't have these opportunities, what would these young persons be doing? You know, because it's so many of them out there. And as we go back, because we do have a couple of minutes before we wrap up, and I want to kind of drive it back to the center of what we're talking about, which is remote work. And I know with COVID, you know, hitting our shores in 2020, we were literally thrusted into remote working. I know it was something that in some companies it used to happen, but with COVID, I would want to say maybe 50 to 60, maybe even more % of our workforce has had to transition to remote working. And earlier, Jean-Marie, you spoke about some of the technological advances that Concentrix is doing as it relates to security, right? So Stephanie, I kind of want to find out from you, you know, you spoke about virtual admins and persons who work from home and who are obviously contributing to this rise of remote work that we have. You know, what are some of the challenges, like myself who had technological challenges earlier, what are some of the challenges that you encounter working in this type of space, and what has Teleperformance done to kind of navigate through some of these challenges from a technological perspective, from a data security and data privacy, because that's also important. What are some of the things that your company is doing to ensure that whatever challenges you face during remote working, that these are thought of and navigated properly?
I can tell you that our IT department is on speed dial for everyone, and they have been, trust me, a tower of strength in this time. For different departments, they are chats, rooms and support system that will allow the agents, once there is an issue, whether it be just by flow or JPS, or they're really in-house issues, then they're able to readily reach out to their supervisors or their managers, and then there are people there on the phone, video calls, troubleshooting, just to ensure that the matter is resolved and that they're back up quickly. In terms of security, our IT department, they are truly doing an awesome job in terms of monitoring, ensuring that the different systems are on the PCs before they actually get off the free zone, so that they're able to track where these systems are, and to also track the activities that are carried out on it on a daily basis. Different clients requires different security measures. For some, they'll ask for webcams to be installed and all of that. And then the company, it is our responsibility that this is provided for our agents to actually work in an environment that our clients too feel safe, and that their business is also not at a high risk.
Yes. All right. Thank you for that, Stephanie. I think we can all agree that IT has been the real superheroes
Yes.
of this pandemic. I mean, aside from our medical practitioners, which we know we're not going to take it from them, but I know IT, I mean, I can see that my company, KPMG, we have had to knight them as essential services because, I mean, yeah, man, when the services go down, IT to the rescue. And I know we have had to rely on them a lot. And I think also it underscores something, because Stephanie, you said earlier that a part of the education of highlighting the sector, that it starts from the schools, right? So I think from the education sector, we need to also be changing the narrative. A lot of times persons think traditionally doctor, lawyer, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think when we start to think about technology as well, when we start to think about the legal, not just lawyer, but as you said, supporting from an LPO perspective as well. And I mean, with remote working now, it's no longer this thing that we sat on our bench maybe 10 years ago and thought that, hey, this might be cool if it happened. It's actually here now, and we're living in it. I mean, for me, it's very difficult for me to go somewhere and do business. So if I can't do business with you online, I have to second think and say, do I have to put on a pants and go out the door and really have to do this, right? When you can literally do everything from your fingertips. So remote working is here. So as we wrap up now, I want to give the parting shots to you to, for persons who are listening, for our viewers who still, after hearing what we had to say, are still on tenterhooks and hesitant about careers in the industry. What would you say to someone to get them to come into the industry to fill some of these higher value jobs that we're talking about today? So I'm going to start with you first, Stephanie, and then I'll close off with Jean-Marie.
I would definitely say you have to have an open mind. You have to have that willingness to learn. It will not be the same every day. So you have to be flexible. You may do it one way today, and tomorrow you'll come in and you'll get a total different procedure. But that only makes it more fun and dynamic. So I think being open-minded, being flexible, and also being determined, then you will make it in this industry. Just knowing what you want, remain focused. Don't listen to side that are actually not in the industry, but actually just to come in and experience it and create your perception of what it really is.
Yeah, and I would.
Yes, go ahead, Jean-Marie.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just gonna add that the BPO industry is truly a world-class experience. It is an opportunity for you to learn how global companies operate. One of the struggles that I have, Sandra, sometimes is because I'm operating in this space for so long. I tend to lose a little patience when I go into some organizations because around me it looks like they're moving a little bit slowly. Too slow. And we're coming from an industry where it's fast paced. You have to be solution oriented. You have to be on the tip of your toes always, to be looking at, how do I overcome this particular obstacle? How do I improve? So it's definitely an industry that one should embrace. The opportunities, as I mentioned before, are endless. You have to have the right attitude as well as the right aptitude, definitely, to grow. But it is something that it's an industry where you're just going to be in the league of top class, world class experience, and you won't regret it. You will definitely not regret it. Your operational acumen, your business acumen will be enlarged because you're practically running an operation for your client.
Yes.
So you have, it's the ins and out of everything that you do. So it's not only, yes, providing that world-class customer experience on the phone if you need to, but from a paralegal and accounting, you own that business and you ensure that you just provide that top-notch experience all the time. So I would encourage all graduates to enter in the industry. I use myself all the time as an example of somebody who left university with an economics degree. I ended up in the BPO space, but so much of what I would have learned at the university, I'm able to translate that in what I do every day. So don't worry about the degree that you have or leaving with your CXC subjects. Once you channel that in the right direction, then the sky is the limit.
For that, Jean-Marie, and I mean, based on your response, I can tell that you definitely don't regret your foray into the BPO, nor does Stephanie, nor do I, for that matter. And I mean,
absolutely
as you said, when you work in this industry, it shifts how you look at things. It shifts how you treat with certain situations. I mean, for one, you guys were on time for this meeting.
You have to be on time in the industry. Time is money, right? So, yeah.
When you are working with global clients, time is money, time is equity, and so there are a lot of things from a cultural perspective that it changes within you and how you treat with certain situations. So as we have passed our time, I mean, it's definitely been a very robust conversation, a lot of insights you ladies have both given us today. I want to take the opportunity to thank you both for your time and for the insights that you have given us. I'm sure our viewers here today walk away feeling more enriched than they probably came in. So I wish you all a good afternoon. And I just want to say that it is obvious from our offerings today, from this panel and panels from before, that there are opportunities here, and that the opportunities that are here are not just limited to, the traditional BPO jobs that we know, but there are higher level jobs here. Stephanie and Jean-Marie spoke about web design. They spoke about virtual administration. They spoke about risk management, human resources, legal processing, outsourcing, so many others, IT, and also positions that have to act in support capacities to persons who are working in BPO. So your marketing, your public relations, your risk management, there are so many opportunities here. And, with COVID being here, remote working as well, we don't want to forget that, because again, that also add another layer of flexibility and dynamics to the environment that we're in, that you have this flexibility to work from home. You know, you cut out that transportation time, the traffic sitting in the morning, and you get back an hour in your day. And then when you finish at the end of the day, you don't have to fight the traffic to come home
it's a cost saver.
You're able to balance all these things. So
can I just add one more thing, Sandra? I know we have to go, but I was just going to say that remote work, I think a lot of people might treat it lightly because, the name suggests remote work. However, I think for Jamaica, we have such an awesome opportunity for remote work to remain even after COVID. And all that we ask persons to do is just ensure that they keep within the correct guidelines of the security protocols, because it only takes one breach, whether it be scamming or whatever it is, but it only takes one breach for a client to reevaluate that situation. So it's a big responsibility for all of us that are in the space to ensure that we keep our client and our company's information secure.
Very, very, very important point to end on, Jean-Marie. And I think a lot of our companies now are actually developing work from home policies and remote working and hoteling policies as well, to essentially outline how we treat with these situations. But I mean, you made a very key point there. And I think that's a very good note for us to end on. So I want to thank you, ladies, both again. Thank you to our viewers. And again, our guest, Jean-Marie Dillon Barrett, Associate Director of Service Delivery at Concentrix, and Stephanie Edwards, Administrative Team Lead at Teleperformance. Thank you both for your time, ladies. Thank you to our viewers. Have a good afternoon, everyone. And see you. Bye.
Thanks, Sandra. Thanks, Stephanie. Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening.